GeePawHill in the house. Hello kids. Today we're starting on the magnificent mission we call the DoubleDawgDare. I'm going to start a new workspace here so that those of you who want to play along at home can do exactly the same thing. A workspace in Eclipse terms is just a place for you to put related projects. I'm going to start completely from scratch here and say OK. Now it always opens up with this welcome, blah, blah, blah. I'm not wild about that. In fact, there's a lot of things I'm not wild about the stock Eclipse system. So one of the things that I do when I first start a project is get the UI exactly the way I want it. It's a GeePaw rule, kids. Own your tools. Okay, I'll be right back as soon as I clean this up. Abracadabra, it's all completely changed. I put my most frequent stuff, except for the JUnit runner itself, right into this fast launch bar, which I moved over to the side. I came over here, got rid of the text because I want a nice, concise little set of buttons here for my different perspectives. I minimized a bunch of views that are of some use at some times when you're programming, but don't really need to be there all the time. Okay, there's no project here, so what we're going to do is open it up. I'm going to import the one that I downloaded from the site. How do I do that? I say the General tab. Notice that I'm not choosing archive file here. It's a trick, kids. You want to use existing projects into Workspace. There we go. When you get here, look, you don't have to do selecting a directory. You can select an archive file. Now when I browse, I get to my own lovely directory. And here's the project, DoubleDawgDare 0, Modest Beginnings. That's us. Now, I brought this project in. You can see it's got its source directory. Let me show you really quickly the class that we're going to be working on. Boom, that's a lot of packages. Why are all these packages in here? Well, I'll tell you, because the guy that we're going to work on, which is in the validator and is called the Annotation Validation Configuration Builder, that's the guy we're going to be working with. He or his dependents need all the rest of these guys. So we'll look in closer detail, much closer detail later on. Right now, all I want to do is the first thing I should be doing in order to launch a new refactoring project like this. Can anybody guess what it is? Oh, Bobby, you are a student par excellence. I just heard that came in on the phone. You didn't hear it, but that was little Bobby Tables. And he says the first thing I should do is add a new test to the system. Sounds like a pretty good idea. But it's not going to be an actual test that really does something with this annotation validation configuration builder. Instead, it's going to be a proof of mechanics test to prove that I didn't screw something up inside the project and hook one thing to the wrong other thing. In fact, I don't know how to tell you this, but one time I worked for almost 2 hours running a bunch of tests that were against another object than the one I was working on before I finally realized that I had created thousands of errors in the one I was actually working on. That's a true story. So let's just take a second and get everything going in the right way. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new folder, a new source folder. Why? Because I want to have my tests completely separate from my source. Since the original folks used SRC, I'll use TST. You know how it is. Those vowels can be so annoying to type. But now I have my test folder. I'm going to start right at the top and make a package in that test folder that's identical to the one that's in the source. And now I'm going to make a new test. Oops. Before I do that, I have to return to this and copy it. Now I'm going to create a brand new JUnit test case. These values are basically right. A new JUnit 4 test in this particular package with the name something test. That seems kind of weird since I'm not even going to really test anything with something test. Let's see what happens. Now, it seems to work okay. Let me add a test to it real quickly. This annotation marks this as one of the tests. Test anything. All right, and here we are with this. And inside that test, I'm going to say fail. GeePaw is happy. Because if this test really fails the way I want it to, I'll be pretty amused. Now, I'm going to step up here. When I click on the light bulb, he'll come back to me and give me some advice about what it is I should be doing. His idea would be, import test from org.junit. That's exactly what I was going to say. Same thing here with fail. Look, he's even smart enough in this case to recognize that because this is one of the assertion classes from JUnit, that most people actually want to do a static import everything. So we're in pretty good shape here. Now what happens? We get a nice test. We get a nice failure. GeePaw is happy, and indeed I am. What if I fix the failing test? And we try again. Now that happened so quickly you may not have seen it. The window itself did not pop up, but this little icon here turned from the red X to the green check. Okay, so that's basically it. There's not very much to do here. For a modest beginning, I simply turned on the system, plugged it in, made sure everything was going okay, including the running of a completely bogus test. It's GeePawHill in the house. Today we took very modest beginnings, but that's okay. Everything counts when you're a pro. Every step you take is a step towards the goal, and you're happy to take it.